Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Balasubramaniam, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Zoology, Government First Grade College and PG Center, Chintamani. Today, we are going to discuss about the flight adaptation in birds. Now, this flight adaptation in birds, it belongs to the Bangalore North University, Kolar, and it is the session 27, and it's third semester, and zoology, and the program is B.Sc syllabus. See, flight adaptation birds ali, aves or birds are considered as the masters of air. Now, this time and again we are telling the birds as the masters of air because the birds are well adapted to the aerial mode of life. They are very well adapted to the aerial mode of life. See, birds are considered as the most fascinating group of vertebrates since they have unique behavior, anatomy, morphology, and instinctive behavior, and also the parental care exhibited by their aves. See, compared to the other group of vertebrates, like for example, amphibians or fishes or reptiles and other animals or mammals, so these birds are unique in their own nature because of so many factors. That factors we see are discussed one by one in this class. We see here flight adaptation in birds. So we see here the bones are pneumatic and little weight of the bones are there. See, the bones are light in nature and yet very strong. The bones are very strong and the bones are light in nature. So this is one of the important flight adaptation. Second character, the strong pectoral musculature. The strong pectoral musculature, here there is a sternum. The sternum forms the keel or the carina. Onto the keel or carina are attached the strong pectoral muscles, namely the pectoralis major, the pectoralis minor, and the coracobrachialis. And when we observe the aerodynamic shape of the wings, we can observe this shape of the wings, where we observe the wings. See, dorsally there are convex and ventrally there are concave. See, ventrally they are concave and dorsally they are convex. So, whenever the wings are released or whenever the wings are spread, automatically the air thrust just lifts the animal very easily. So, this is the very beautiful or lot of things are there to learn from this aerodynamic shape of the wings. It's a very, very important adaptation of the wings made for the flight. Now we see one by one flight adaptations in birds. So here the shape of the body is a streamlined or spindle shaped or boat shaped, and it is designed to offer minimum resistance to the wind and hence easily propelled through the air in the same manner as the fish swim through the water quite easily without any waste of the effort. See, the birds are called masters of air because of this shape of the body, which is a streamlined shape or boat shaped shape or spindle shape. So easily, what happen, it easily able to move in the air and without more expenditure of energy. So the birds easily fly in the air. So this is a unique nature. Just like the fish moves in the water, now we see the fishes are called the masters of water. Automatically the fishes are called masters of water because of the nature of the shape of the fish, which is a boat shaped again, spindle shape or streamlined. So easily it cut the water in the while the animal is moving in the water. So the shape is very much unique in the case of the birds. So that is why the birds are different from that of the other vertebrates. Second character, the compact body. Here, the birds have a strong compact body. That means to say, the body is strong dorsally and heavy ventrally. The body is strong dorsally and heavy ventrally, which helps to maintain the balance in the air. Further, the attachment of the wings high up in the thorax and high position of the wings, such as light organs and lungs and air sacs, the low central position of the heavy muscles. So that means to say, on the lower side, the digestive system and the viscera is found. So therefore, obviously, the digestive system and the gonads are heavy in nature, but the lungs and the air sacs are found dorsally, and moreover, the dorsal side, lot of bones are fused, particularly the formation of synsacrum, the vertebral column. We find the synsacrum. The synsacrum, it gives the lot of support, and this synsacrum is found dorsally, where there is a fusion of 14 to 16 vertebrae, and synsacrum is there, and therefore this body is strong dorsally and heavy ventrally because of the presence of the digestive system and the viscera. And here the next character, the body covered with the feathers. So here the feathers are the diagnostic character of the birds, since no other group of animals have them. And the hairs, such as the feathers, like the hairs in the case of the mammals, the feathers are unique nature of the birds, and the feathers are exoskeleton, and the feathers are waterproof, and the feathers are insulating structures covering the body of the birds, and the feathers are smooth, closely fitted, and backwardly directed. The feathers are backwardly directed. Counter feathers make the body streamlined and further help its passage through the air by reducing the friction to a minimum extent. Further, the feathers help in the insulation, and the feathers, particularly birds which are living in the polar regions, particularly the penguin and the other animal for birds living in the Arctic and Antarctic regions. So the feathers form the insulation, and is a very much unique nature of the birds. Further characteristics, here the forelimbs are modified to the wings. See, forelimbs are modified to the wings. The forelimbs are modified to the wings, and here the forelimbs has the wings, and these wings are surrounded by the feathers. See, the forelimbs are marvelously designed structures equipped with the special flight muscles, and have developed as instruments of propulsion through the air. Further, the elongated flight muscles of wings are called remiges. Here, the forelimbs has the elongated feathers. So see, nowhere we find these elongated feathers in the case of the birds. Only in the forelimbs we find the elongated feathers. So these elongated feathers, they form the sheet-like structure, and this sheet-like structure provided by the feathers helpful for the flight. Further, there is a short tail. The short muscular tail bears a series of long but lightly caudal feathers or rectrices arranged in a fan-like manner, and serves as a rudder for steering during the flight. See here, this feather has the short tail has the feathers, and these feathers are used as the just a navigator. See, if the birds has to move in a direction sideways or backwards, so these feathers found in the tail, they help just to divert the direction. So this is a very important nature of the feathers found in the tail region. Further, the the upper jaw and lower jaw are modified to the beaks, and here these beaks are variously modified, and these beaks are just act like the forceps to pick up the food, and besides the procurement of the food, the beak is also used for the nest building activity. And there are so many types of beaks here. You should remember, in the case of the birds, where so many types of beaks are there. For example, in the case of the herbivorous birds, the beaks are short and pointed, like in the case of the sparrow, for the seed eating purposes. And in the case of the carnivorous birds, like the vultures and the eagles, so the beak is curved and sharp and pointed just to tear the flesh. And in the omnivorous birds, like the crows, so here the beaks are somewhat so much elongated and flat. And further, in the case of the duck or aquatic birds, so these beaks are used as a mud strainer. They strain the mud and consume the organisms found in the soil in the aquatic nature. And further, in the case of the kingfisher or some other aquatic heron or storks, flamingos, so the beaks are very long just to catch the fishes. So likewise, so many types of beaks are there in the case of the birds. So a lot of adaptations are there. So here, the beak adaptation and the feet adaptations are different in the different birds based on the nature of the habitat. Based on the nature of the habitat, so there are various types of the beaks and the feet. So feet modification and beak modification is another unique nature of the birds which are found in the various habitats. Further, there is a mobile neck and head. So here the neck is mobile, the neck of the birds is long and flexible, and this neck has the what you call the heterocylous vertebra. So neck has the heterocylous vertebra. So what is the speciality of this heterocylous vertebra? The heterocylous vertebra are the saddle-shaped vertebra. Here, these birds can have a view of 360 degree while sitting in one place. So this heterocylous vertebra are a saddle-shaped vertebra. So here, this nature of the neck vertebra is the heterocylous. Very unique nature of the this vertebra is there. Further, the head is mobile, and there is a lot of freedom of movement for the head. Further, characteristics. So here we can observe another unique nature of the birds. You can in all these are the flight adaptations. Just we discussed about the aerodynamic or streamlined shape to reduce the air drag, backwardly directed feathers. So all these are the very important characteristics of the flight adaptations in the birds. So then aerofoil shaped wings and strong chest muscles like the pectoralis major, pectoralis minor and coracobrachialis. And there is no fat deposits. Reduce the weight, there is no fat deposits. And single organs are there, like for example single ovary, and thin and hollow bones. The bones are rheumatic and air filled, and but yet the bones are strong. And waterproof feathers. So feathers are light and waterproof, act like insulating organs. So again, these are various types of the characters well adapted to the aerial mode of life or flight adaptations. Again, further you can see here the shape of the body, anatomy of the body or morphology of the body, where you can see the mobile neck, beak, streamlined body, powerful muscles, flight muscles, forelimbs are modified with the wings, and pneumatic bones, likewise perching toes, bipedal locomotion, etc. See here, I am talking about the feet modification and the beak modification. Here you see this feet modification in the case of the heron walking in the mud. So here these three toes pointing forwards and one toe back, pointing backwards. And here there is a heroine aquatic bird, and this eagle where is grasping of the prey. So we see the eagles and the kites and the hawks and the other carnivorous animals usually they catch the small chicken with the help of the this feet itself. Just they lift the small animals like the rats or some other birds, small birds. So for the grasping of the prey, this you see the feet which are pointed and very strong and powerful, and three toes pointing forwards and one toe pointing backwards. And here we can see the sparrow, which is the herbivorous bird, where is perching on the branches or the trees. So this type of feet modification is observed. And we can observe here the duck, which is aquatic animal, a semi-aquatic animal, so which is having the feet, webbed feet. So for paddling in the water, there's a duck, geese, and swans, etc. And here this is a woodpecker. You find the gripping onto the basque. So just this woodpecker keeps on barking on the wood. That's why these two toes pointing forwards and two toes pointing backwards. And here this is a pigeon hopping and clinging onto the branches. So this is a pigeon. And but another herbivorous bird. This is the various types of the feet modifications and beak modifications are there in addition to the flight adaptations. And further, bipedal locomotion, the forelimbs are no longer available in the case of the birds because the forelimbs are modified to the beaks. Now, the hind limbs are used for the balance, and whenever we observe the birds in the flying, the legs are facing backwards. So here the legs are strong, and also these legs they use for balance while the bird is moving in the air. So these are another important flight adaptations. Further, integument. See the integument on the case of the birds. So there is a loose skin for the modification of the flight. So it is responsible for extensive skeletal musculature. So here the integument is loose and flexible. So these birds keep on flying in the air. So therefore the skin should be elastic. If the skin were to be rigid, the flight would not be so much easy or possible. So therefore the integument is loose and flexible. Further, I was discussing about these muscles. So the large muscles, pectoralis major and pectoralis minor, and these muscles they constitute about 1/6 of the whole bird. Imagine this pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, and pectoralis coracobrachialis. They constitute about 1/6 of the whole bird. So if the bird is 60 grams, now 10 grams is itself the muscles itself, the weight of these muscles. So these muscles help in the flight, and these muscles are attached to the keel or carina, which is the very important protrusions of the sternum, which is found in the mid-ventral region. And further, perching. So hind limbs are well suited for the arboreal life in most of the birds. So here, this the bird settles down on the tree. The bending of legs exert the pull on the flexor tendons, which makes the toe automatic to flex and grip onto the branches, grip to the perch onto the branches. So when the bird is resting, automatically the muscles are resting. Therefore, these tendons help in the perching. Otherwise, they help in the facing backwards if the bird is flying in the air. So this is another diagram where we can see the internal anatomy of the birds. So a lot of things to learn here. So there's a brain is there, and a spinal cord and feathers, and so many things are there, and 9 air sacs are found in the birds. So this is a part of the respiration where this air sacs used for the buoyancy and cooling the body temperature, etc. So then further endoskeleton, in talk about the endoskeleton, so here the right from the skull bones are smooth in nature and most of the bones are hollow and pneumatic but yet strong, and many bones are fused to form the synsacrum. And in the neck we have the heterocoelous vertebra or the saddle shaped vertebra, and in the sternum we have the keel or the carina. See, all these are the endoskeletal modifications where the bird is able to easily fly in the air. Next, day system. So the birds have high metabolism because always keeps on flying in the air. So this metabolism is met, or the food has to be given for the high metabolism. Now, the food selected by the birds is having high calorific value, largely utilized with a minimum indigestible wastes. So therefore this for this activity the digestive system should be compact and much effective. As we told here, you should remember one thing: the bird's efficiency rate is 1/3. That means for every 100 grams of seeds or the flesh or some other food the bird is consuming, 33 grams is utilized as useful energy and 67% is going as a waste. While the mammals are having 1/10 efficiency rates. Then coming to the respiration, so here the respiration, here the lungs are soft and spongy, and these lungs have the air sacs. So we told here air sacs. So there are 9 air sacs are there, and the abdominal air sacs and posterior thoracic air sacs. Abdominal air sacs are 2, posterior thoracic sacs are 2, and anterior thoracic sacs are 2, and interclavicular air sacs are 2, and cervical air sacs are 2. Like this, lot of air sacs are there in the case of the birds. So lot of usefulness is there for the air sacs, particularly for the buoyancy or for the cooling the body temperature, because the birds have high metabolic rates. So this is another picture where we see the different types of the air sacs. Further, larynx without the vocal cords, a sound or syrinx voice box at or near the junction of trachea or bronchi produce the voice. So this is one part of the flight adaptations. Now these are the textbooks where we refer the topics, particularly the flight adaptation birds. So Kotpal textbook and Jordan Verma and Ekamarnath Iyer, all the vertebrate books, Dame and Dame and S.N. Prasad. Thank you for listening.